thinking about support and what that looks like when one is facing a hard thing, when they're facing the reality of losing someone. What does your support look like? And maybe you've not lost anyone, so it's hard to imagine what it would be like. Maybe you have lost someone and you found yourself maybe a little disappointed by how you showed up or didn't. Or you felt good about your ability to be present. And I'm thinking about this because I have witnessed support go in the wrong direction, where instead of the focus being on the patient, him or herself, the loved one, it's as if the one who will remain commandeers the entire matter. They take over it and make it about them. And sometimes it can sound like they're blaming the patient. It can sound like you're not doing enough. This isn't that bad. If only you just... And today I realize that fear, stress, overwhelm, frustration, those things can really pull us away from operating from our heart space, operating from a place of compassion, because we're trying desperately to control something, to make something better, to fix something, to make what is become something else rather than dropping into the discomfort. Instead of accepting the current reality. And many people don't feel like what's in front of them is the truest thing. They don't feel like it's something to accept, but rather something that could be different if only you just... And what I want to say is most people want to be better, to be well, to be whole, to return to who they were before the cancer or before the pulmonary issue, before the cardiac issue, before the autoimmune disease that has greatly debilitated them. Most people want to return. And at some point, perhaps quietly, they experience a reconciliation where they know, even though they haven't expressed it, they know deep down that the person they wish they could return to is no longer the person they will be. And that's not lacking motivation or inspiration. That's not being negative. That's actually holding oneself with compassion and grace, because it has to be hard. It has to be hard to look oneself in the mirror and reconcile no longer being able to walk, no longer being able to brush their teeth, no longer being in control of their bowels and bladder, no longer being able to work or play with their children or grandchildren or travel because that was the plan after retirement. That has to be hard. It's hard for me to think on those things, meaning fathom it. So When we are in those moments where we're called to offer support, we're called to journey alongside someone, it's important that we become self-aware, that we sit with certain questions. Am I being present? Have I completely taken over the conversation? Am I making this about me? Have I asked my loved one about their own desires, their own fears, the dreams now deferred? How am I showing up in this? Because even though I might be afraid and I might be frustrated or overwhelmed or anxious, as long as I'm showing up and being present, then I need to mind myself. Because the person who's going through the hardship, the medical matter, facing their mortality suddenly in the now, they deserve the space to be in their own discomfort without feeling like they're being a burden or they're taking up too much oxygen in the room by being unwell. And so they need to cater to your thoughts, your dreams, your feelings, your frustrations. We have to mind ourselves. Because support may not be what we think it is. Perhaps we need to ask the question, how may I support you? And it's possible that the answer will be, I don't know. And so you just walk alongside and you listen and you pay attention. And maybe you have a friend, you have an outlet where you can express your fears. That way the patient, I'll say, doesn't have to carry that. Because they're carrying so much already. Not only are they inside the body that's seemingly betraying them, abandoning them, but they're also looking at how finite their life. How many days do they have in front of them? So it's not just what we see. A lot of it is what we don't see. A lot happens in the quiet. It can be so loud, the quiet. And so today I just want to invite you and myself to reflect on support and what it looks like, to give thought to how we show up, who we become when we're afraid of losing someone, when we're anxious about the reality of that, when we're frustrated because there's nothing we can do. Who do we become? It's important that we know that. Who do we become? How am I showing up? That's information. And we all need to know. We all need to be informed about who we are. And it isn't to put ourselves down if we feel like, oh no, geez, that wasn't good on me. You know? It's not about judgment. Have compassion. Extend yourself some grace. And then practice doing things differently. That's where it all comes together, in the practice of doing things differently when we find that we are not doing things well or the way that we desire. If I'm not showing up the way that I truly desire, the practices in doing things differently. That is where I want to leave us. At the intersection of what has been happening, what support looks like, how you're showing up, and how you might practice doing things differently.